My name is Christine Marie, and I
Let's
moved
try this
to
again.
the town of Shark Creek. That's the Garden of Eden. Coming here from the city or Las Vegas lights, I get to walk out my yard and
This video might get flagged for
pick apricots from an
having a
orchard.
documentary in
It's
the
like
background,
living
but
in
that's
heaven.
okay.
When we moved here,
No,
we
I'm
started
not
seeing
talking to you.
trailers.
I'm talking to
in and out of town.
my followers, Danny.
One after another semi-trucks. We started taking pictures. What's going on here? It's like an entire town is moving. Then we saw an eviction of elderly people with oxygen tanks, handicapped people in a wheelchair, people crying, just mobbed around this house, and I took photos.
Who in the world evicts a grandmother with an oxygen tank? I'm sorry, I don't care what the legal thing is. You don't do that to a grandmother who's an American citizen.
My husband, Olga, posted some of the photos of evictions, and we got attacked. When the children are being deprived of their education, and they're being taken from their parents and farmed out from house to house and abused and malnourished, where were you calling for the government then? They could stay there if they signed a lease agreement and paid the back taxes just like anyone else in America. Then I meet two FLDS ladies at a gas station. Christine came around the little island there, and she just says, "So sorry, what's happened to you?" I told them, we just got attacked and slaughtered on Facebook by people who live in this town because we posted these pictures saying, how is this right? It was an outsider. It wasn't just us saying, hell, they're hurting us. It was an outsider saying, what is going on? And that began the beginning of my friendship with Norma.
About a month later, I was in my room and I could hear the sound of equipment and things being moved. The business next door is being evicted. I just called her up and I says, "Are you ready? So I'm coming to get you."
She took us over there. This is our first time ever going into a building with FLDS, and we saw all this crazy stuff happening.
And they were just running around, women and children everywhere, trying to save the food. And it really touched me, really. Processing plant. Day after midnight to get the stuff out. This is absolutely insane and ridiculous.
We started live streaming it because we couldn't believe what we were seeing.
Can you explain what's going on, Christine?
This is the processing plant. They were just evicted. This is where they make their food and they store it. So it's taking away their livelihood and their food.
This is the United States of America. Stuff like this should not take place. The FLDS built this building. They paid for this building. And they're kicked out of this building.
So whose side do I take? The people who used to live here, who were sent away or kicked out, deserve something, don't they? What about
Holy
the
cow.
Whether we shoot them, they have rights too.
I'm so terrible with crappy weapons.
Has an invisible civil war.
It has been their home and a safe haven.
Yeah, but now many FLDS families being evicted from Colorado City, Arizona, and Hillsdale, Utah.
Some are saying these evictions are a form of genocide, and others believe it is a self-inflicted wound brought on by following Warren Jeffs. Representatives of the UEP Trust say no one has to be evicted if only the FLDS families would sign what's called an occupancy agreement.
I know I work with the trustees every day. I know they have absolutely no intention of trying to drive a certain group of people out and invite another group of people in. The criteria is very neutral. The courts require three basic things. The first is you have to have some sort of an agreement. And right now there's a little 2-page occupancy agreement. The second is the court is requiring a $100 occupancy fee. And the third is keep your property taxes current.
I have tried to get them to sign so they can save their houses. Not one of them has budged.
We're not signing any occupancy agreement. I will not. To me, that is like telling everybody, the whole world, and then I agree with you, and I don't agree with my
In loving
religion,
memory.
my religion. So why don't I just sign away my religion?
They'd rather lose $100 million in property than violate their religion.
The worth in money means nothing. It's the worth in our family, in our soul, and our faith.
This valley is ripe for a really solid economy. I mean, we're talking 750 houses, 150 commercial properties.
In loving memory of my old friend who died, saving my life.
Sold and purchased, and for new businesses, for new construction. I think it's necessary.
Onion
It's a little
boy,
bit painful, but it's really necessary.
show me your power.
These were some of the first items that were taken from us, which only makes sense if you want to discourage people. Go take their food source. This is where we had a dairy, and it's just means why take something if you're not going to use it? It's hard to watch them just take over. It almost feels like it's an infestation coming through. Maybe I shouldn't say it that way, but that doesn't sound very forgiving.
We are taking the walls down. You know, that's one of the things that I love about all of the buildings that we're using and that we're turning, you know, taking your storehouse and turning it into school and taking that other warehouse and turning it into the social services place, is that we're taking down these walls and we're saying, hey, this building was used to harm you before, and now we're going to use this building to heal you.
This is disgraceful.
It's good. We got to get rid of all this out of our town.
You went and left your family. You destroyed them.
We kind of start telling them that the only protection you guys have is the camera. The camera will help you. I said, you guys gotta film your eviction. What happened, Lori?
When we got up here, they had the backhoe right here, striking the rest of the foundation from the house. This was my great-grandfather Elmer's homestead. It's just really heartless. They don't need this.
I am so upset. I am so upset by the action of this UEP. This is gonna sit here empty while you destroyed another mine.
Polygamists.
It's going into a culture, destroying their food, destroying their schools,
Their economic,
their economics. So it was very heart-wrenching to see.
America's secret ethnic cleansing.
Honestly,
Ethnic cleansing, what the
I
heck?
believe that there was a cultural cleansing that happened there, and it was Warren Jeffs that did it.
You know, the health aspects, the poverty aspects, the lack of education, the early childhood traumas, the social structure, the physical structure. There's not anything about this community that Warren Jeffs left intact. I think there was a picture of Warren Jeffs right here.
What's happening now is not a cultural cleansing. What's happening now is business.
Business.
You know, if they're paying their property taxes, if they've signed an agreement with the trust, they can continue to live and live their religion, and they can worship Warren Jeffs day and night.
This is your town. It's not my town. It's our town. Your grandpa and my grandpa showed up here to build this town for family, protection, and freedom. Not walls, bullshit, and what we're doing today. I'm telling you, they'd be pissed off today if they knew what we did, because we created everything they didn't want. It's the same damn piece of earth, dude. It's just 2 miles. This land doesn't care about us. It never has. It never will. It's going to be here when I'm gone. We define it. You gotta realize I've been gone for 15 years. I'd set foot in this town maybe 3 times in that whole 15 years. Had just started my second
Black
company
Knight
trying to
Sword.
be successful, and was so sick with a disease I was born with, and a lot of other diseases that was compounded. So I was born with a disease called Muir-Roy's, and it's kind of a really rare disease, and it's, what it does is my immune system, my body don't work. And then with my disease, then it'll attack my big organs, my main organs, sometimes it hit my heart, my kidneys, and it leaves a lot of scar tissue. It's destroyed my blood veins, it's destroyed my bones, it's destroyed my circulation. spent half my life in the hospital. I spent half my life in medical care. I finally got successful in a business and lost it because of my health issues, and it felt just like leaving the creek again, just having everything taken away. And I'm living in a garage going through chemo. My wife's pregnant, on bed rest. Here I am. I'm gonna die in a few months. I'm just making peace, trying to do the best I can with, with the time I had left, really. At that time, after the state had taken a trust, there was a process, and they said that anybody that was born out here had a right to come out and claim a house, to come home. I just remember coming out here and like, man, this town just looks just like I feel. Just screwed. Just drove past my dad's old house where I grew up, and there was nobody there. It was empty and just run down. I'm like, well, hell, I don't want to take it from anybody, but if nobody's in there, I'm homeless. I'm sitting in a garage down in St. George, gonna die. Let's come out and get you a house and get you and the kids somewhere settled, and I'll come home and die, and you'll get a place at least. Out of the whole shitty part of my life, at least something good will come about it. You gotta realize, I'm an apostate that came back to the motherland of where all this started. It was just surreal. You're home, but you're not home kind of. It's like, don't know if this is really happening. You fantasize this all your life because this town was such an amazing place to grow up. It didn't need to be dead. These walls weren't here. I didn't grow up with these stupid ass walls everywhere. Warren Jeffs was here for 6 years. He doesn't need to define us. It's our story now.
So when I first started going back to town, after I was put on the trust board, we sat down and sketched out a strategy.
We can blame people and we can say we shoulda, coulda, woulda, but we're here now. I don't care who got us here. It's time for us to just fix it and own it and say, this does not work anymore. This train track that we're on, people need to stop putting trains on this track.
At that time, whoever was in charge of the church would...
Okay, let me just show you guys here. I have a fully upgraded Claymore. Now, this is super unrealistic. Fully upgraded every way you could possibly use this weapon besides using a buff.
I never knew what politics. I knew that the government was bad. I can tell you that. Your local government.
I'm gonna swap to
in the United States.
this.
It's your local government if it's done correctly. I didn't know any of this. I come home and go, we just want a city that represents the people.
Donnie, my best friend and sister-in-law, chose to run.
I can't believe this happened so late in the game, but I guess this is what they expected to happen. Whoa, I still don't have enough. Ooh, I need 18 decks.
She made the tough decision to leave behind the town and the people she grew up with and loved. But then she returned as an outsider.
Dahlia Jessup says when she was in the FLDS church, she was told who to vote for.
I know. It's so un-American, unconstitutional. It's like, how does this happen here in America? But that's what's been happening. So that is the change that I'm talking about that needs made.
I have a lot of support. I have definitely some who are not in support.
Behind me is a vandalized campaign poster. There are a lot of them in this town, and this election, it could be one for the Hilldale history books.
Oh, I needed one level, seriously.
Yep, there's the alphabet, all right.
I want to eat an egg.
Can you find him an egg? Can you feed him an egg? Okay, pull it out, feed it to him.
That was really good, Yoni. All right, can I have a...
In this town, there has to be give and take. But it should not require the FLDS to violate what they believe. People say, you're enabling them, they're in a dangerous cult.
Not us.
I just want to promote education and empowerment. That's not enabling them to stay in harm, that's giving them options. I keep pushing the limits for the FLDS and for the trust. We've got this crappy little building as the very first reclaim, sort of a test to see if the trust would let me kind of pull the building out of the eviction and repurpose it for the FLDS. It worked. The FLDS all pitched in to remodel it and restore it. And to me, it seemed symbolic of what's happening in the town in some ways. My goal is to see them all come together, not to violate their religion and start big happy family reunions. I mean, I'd love to see that, but...
Oh my gosh, what was that garbage?
But at least if they can show mutual respect and start doing communications of love there.
If you went to St. George, Cedar City, London, and go to another country, and you see kids and mothers who are being displaced, and they don't have anywhere to go, the whole town, the community would be running to help them. And I think here we have a really unique misunderstanding.
The stories out there are like, these people will never get along. It's, never ever. But it's not true. I see something different. I see steps.
I can stand up right now, and I can walk over here, and I can give her a hug. Oh, just like that. And you know that before you guys came into this town, that was impossible. Yeah.
It's gotta take somebody who was never FLDS or ex-FLDS, like me. I grew up in a small town in Michigan. My parents were against it, but on my 18th birthday, I was baptized. So I became Mormon, and it was the happiest day of my life.
Here we are at the Children's Art Festival, and I have Pat here. Hi, Pat.
Hi. So I became what's known as a Molly Mormon, which is the person who tries to live Mormonism perfectly.
Art.
Yeah. And when I went to college, I majored in children's theater. So I created this interactive TV show. I was developing my children's characters, my puppet dream. And then I met somebody, he turned into Mr. Charming, started courting me, and now he could tell me the truth. The truth was that he had translated the sealed portion of the Book of Mormon.
Oh my gosh, what?
But in the last days, the rest of the Book of Mormon, which has been engraved on these gold plates, will come forward. All Mormons believe this. So he sent me 8 chapters. It felt the same to me as the Book of Mormon that I loved and
oh
I
my
studied and I read
gosh.
32 times.
This is crazy.
I decided he was telling me the truth, and that made him the new Joseph Smith.
Oh, rip.
My dear
Holy
sister and
cow.
bondservant, I received your letter of the 6th of May, which was sent from your indicated address at a downtown hotel ran exclusively for the homeless, downtrodden, sick, afflicted, and needy of our society. And I ask you, my dear sister, where else would a true disciple of Christ be found? Not only was he the new prophet, but I'd passed lots of tests. I had to live among the poor and needy. When men got out of prison, they went to this halfway house resident hotel. That's where I had to be. This is...
So much for a good ending. I can't beat this boss on my own. I don't think I've ever beat him with an actual weapon. I've beat him with magic.
Out of a horror movie.
I'm not good at fighting this guy. He's way too powerful. I'm gonna give it one more try, and we'll see.